You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Wise guys. 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 These guys know sports. Yeah. These guys know sports. These guys know.
Hey, welcome to Wise Guys. These guys know sports on the Worldwide Sports Network. Here on this Monday, July the 6th. What's up, Clarence?
Man, how you doing today, man? How you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. How was your 4th of July weekend?
Oh, 4th of July weekend was wonderful. Went out to the bar and relaxed, and then, had to go in working on the weekend. But 4th of July was a success, man. I can say that. How about yours?
Did you have it? It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I spent some time with the fam, went downtown, saw some fireworks. Did you participate in any fireworks, Clarence, over the weekend?
Nah, man. I just basically watched a lot of fireworks shows. So I try not to get into it because, I had a baby girl and, she was a little afraid. So I had to protect her.
Understandable, man. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. So we got a big time show ahead. We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson. Which quarterback would you rather have on your team? Also, we're going to talk about, is there a quarterback controversy in Philly? Because we know the Eagles drafted in the second round Jalen Hurts. Also, we're going to talk about the 10th year anniversary of LeBron James' decision. So we got a few topics we'll talk about on the show today. So we got an action jam-packed show. And real quick, before we get going, Clarence, I know we're going to open up with Patrick Mahomes and his new record deal. But I just want our audience to know, tonight, I don't have any notes for tonight's show. I've been busy all day. I done had a lot going on. I ain't really had a chance to write up any notes. I got our outline, but no notes. So just let everybody know and give our audience some context to today's show. Clarence has plenty of notes over there. So he should destroy me in these debates tonight. But we'll see if it happens. We'll see if it happens.
Man, look. Look, I always destroy you in these debates, man. You just can't accept for my opinions, man. It hurts. It hit the chest. But listen, babe, man, we got to get started right here, man. Look, we got breaking news, man. Listen, my boy Patrick Mahomes, he agreed to a 10-year extension that's worth over $400 million. $400 million at first that it changed. Now he has 2 years left on his contract that he makes about $27.6 million left. And once he's done with that, then boom, baby, he's making the big money, $45 million a year. And Trey, so I was watching this all day. This like, oh my God, this guy, it went from $400 million to $450. Now it's talking about 503. That's $500 million. But listen to these numbers of how much money he's gonna be getting per year. Look, God, he's making $45 million per year. He gets $3.75 million per month, $937,000 per month per week, $31,000 a day, $521 per hour. If I made $521 per hour, I'll be rich too. And he getting $8.60 every minute. Every minute he gets $8.60. Hey, now you count 5 minutes times $8, man. You spending big bucks. It's ridiculous, man. What's your first reaction to this historic contract deal that he got himself involved with?
I got 3 words for you. Worth every penny. I believe that this record-breaking deal that Patrick Mahomes signed today, Monday, July the 6th, 2020, a day that we're going to remember in sports history because this is the richest sports contract, period. This is the richest contract in sports history. This is baseball money, but this might even be beyond baseball money, Clarence. The amount of money that Patrick Mahomes has secured the bag, literally and figuratively, for his kids. Okay, this is generational wealth. This is what we talk about in our communities. These are goals in life. That's what Patrick Mahomes accomplished today when he signed this massive deal with the Kansas City Chiefs today. When you look at Patrick Mahomes and his career, obviously his first year being a starter with the Kansas City Chiefs. In 2018, he had 50 touchdowns, just 12 interceptions, threw for over 5,000 passing yards, was the NFL MVP, came up short in the postseason, although if it wasn't for an offsides penalty on the Chiefs, it's a possibility that Patrick Mahomes would have been in the Super Bowl in 2018. But he didn't make it. Tom Brady got the ball in overtime, and he led his team down, and they won the AFC Championship game. They went on to the Super Bowl and beat the Rams. But then you look at what happened last year. Although Patrick Mahomes missed a few weeks of football and he was injured, he came back on the scene, led his team to the playoffs where they made noise in the playoffs. But this didn't come comfortably. They were trailing in every single game in the playoffs this year, Clarence, and he led them on multiple comebacks in the postseason. Not only that, going up against the best defense in the NFL in the Super Bowl. He trailed the San Francisco 49ers by 10 points in the Super Bowl, a little under 8 minutes left in that game. And what does Patrick Mahomes does? Patrick Mahomes went on a Patrick Mahomes-like drive and got them back into the football game and ultimately won the football game for the Kansas City Chiefs. And, this year, his numbers weren't like they were the first year, but he still put up outstanding numbers. And like I said, he definitely deserves this massive contract. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they have them a quarterback at the helm that's going to help them win football games for many years to come. So I think this is a win-win for both sides.
I'm going to just say this, though. It just seemed like the quarterbacks that came in his class and the quarterbacks that came like after him, he set in the tone. It seemed like he set in the tone here that, hey, if you lead this team in Super Bowl in your early stage of your career, you might get this amount of money. So what's next for Lamar Jackson? What's next for Deshaun Watson? Do you honestly believe they will ever get that type of money if they won a Super Bowl? I just want to be honest. Be honest.
I believe so, because that's what the market is at right now. The market is at Patrick Mahomes reset the market for quarterbacks. He's young. He's only 23. He's only 23 years of age. And like I said, throughout so far in his young, illustrious career, he's been the best quarterback in the NFL. You can talk about Russell Wilson in Seattle. I love Russ. Lamar Jackson, obviously, is a reigning NFL MVP. I love the work that Deshaun Watson is doing in H-Town with the Texans. But when you talk about the creme de la creme at quarterback and the best quarterback in the business, that's Patrick Mahomes. And although I am an Aaron Rodgers fan, and I do believe Aaron Rodgers was doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing now, I got to get credit where it's due and admit that Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL right now, based off the simple fact that he plays the most important position in the NFL right now. And Patrick Mahomes has a well-deserved contract for 10 years, over $400+ million.
Yeah, just breaking down his contract, 400 and actually the contract hits up to $503 million. That's over $500 million right then and there. But listen to the kickstart. $477 million are guaranteed. $140 million of that money is injury-free. So if he get injured, he can get injured in these first 2 years, and he's settled for life, because that 143 is going to eat up that next 2 seasons. That contract is big, man. And I think for Patrick Mahomes, he does earn that. 97 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons, only 18 interceptions. I ain't gonna lie. It's looking like kind of Aaron Rodgers, more touchdowns, less interceptions. And Mahomes is a terrific passer. He's a great, precise quarterback, and he earns all rights of this money. And to me, man, I just kept looking at the screen. Man, this guy just made all this money. He brought a Super Bowl to a team that's ain't had no Super Bowl in 50 years. And now they've been saving all this money and just threw it all at him. Now look at him. He's the richest player in the sports alive right now. That's just ridiculous, Trey, man.
It really is. And the only pushback I would have for this contract and the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, the only pushback that I would have for general manager Brett Veach, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes, the only pushback I will have is having a player that will go against your cap and get paid over $40 million a year. I'm wondering will that affect the Chiefs and trying to sign free agents? I'm wondering will this affect them when they re-sign players like Tyreek Hill or Sammy Watkins? That's the only question I have here. Is it going to affect them being able to bring back Sammy Watkins or bring back Tyreek Hill?
Well, I actually read into that contract as well too. It doesn't affect the cap space at all because it's flexible. It's flexible for 12 years. Actually, yeah, 12 years, including his 2 years currently on his contract now. It's more flexible through the years because they can honestly throw him most of that money right now and don't have to pay him back for nothing, or they just can smooth it out through the years, or they just can hold it all towards the end, and he just got to work for that money. But the point is, this contract is not going to affect the cap because the cap gets bigger every year. Plus, it's a new TV deals is coming out in the next few years, so that's going to be more money towards the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised. Now look, I know Patrick Mahomes has set the bar. I wouldn't be surprised if Dak Prescott get that $40 million a year. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Dak got $40 million a year, Trey. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if Dak got $40 million a year from Jerry Jones, but I don't believe Dak deserves $40 million a year. I think Dak Prescott deserves to be paid in that $30 million to $35 million range a year. I don't think he deserves $40 million a year.
But that right there he would be an average elite quarterback. You know what I'm saying? You got the average elite quarterbacks, you got the elite quarterbacks, and you just got the super elite quarterbacks, man. You just got to think about it. $30 million. Well, Kirk Cousins gonna be making more? Ben Roethlisberger gonna be making more than him. Even the person you hate the most, Ryan Tannehill, is gonna be making more than him. So that's just an average. That's just an average elite money right then and there. So you're basically telling me Ryan Tannehill is better than Dak Prescott? No, ridiculous. No, he's not. But
no. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is better than Dak Prescott. I just don't think that. Okay. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's levels to it, though. It's levels to it.
Yeah, it's definitely levels to it. And Tannehill showed out, but he got to give us more. He got to give us more than one season. Like, you can't really blame off one season. That's why Lamar Jackson, this is a season to build off on. Like, you want you want an MVP. Now, your next option is one, winning a playoff game. Two, you got to lead this team to the Super Bowl. It's like do or die at this moment. But at the same time, you're still learning. You're still learning the game of football. But if you have a shot, you got to take that shot, man.
Right. Now, here's the thing, though, Clarence. I want everybody, first of all, let everybody know. Go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_OH. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. And we're live here on the Worldwide Sports Network. And before we go to our next topic, it's one thing I want to say. And I know right now everybody is celebrating this massive contract that Patrick Mahomes signed today. You celebrating. Everybody, all the NFL fans are celebrating this massive contract for Patrick Mahomes. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy for Patrick Mahomes because I'm definitely happy for any player that's of African-American descent getting paid like this. I'm excited for him. I'm definitely happy for Patrick Mahomes. This is well-deserved. Let me be clear and say it again. It's well-deserved. Again, in his first year, he had 50 touchdowns, just 12 interceptions, over 5,000 passing yards. And last year, he led his team to the Super Bowl and was a Super Bowl MVP. But I want to say this real quick because you know I'm a Packers fan, Clarence. And Patrick Mahomes, while I do believe in his upside, and I do believe if we look at his trajectory, that he's going to be in that top 10 to 15, at least right now. Like right now, if he keeps playing at the rate he's playing at, he'll be
next 5 years.
Hold on. If he keeps playing at the rate he's playing at, he'll be a top 10 all-time NFL great at the quarterback position if he continues. But I want to say this real quick. I am a Packers fan, and you know I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. So I'm a little frustrated, and it's a little bit of jealousy going on as an Aaron Rodgers fan, Clarence, and I'm going to explain to you why. I think people like Patrick Mahomes as a person just as much as they like him as a player. And I think in sports, and not only in sports, I think in society in general, if we like a person or like a person's personality, we give them the benefit of the doubt over people who have just as great production, who we don't necessarily like from a personality perspective. I don't think people really like Aaron Rodgers, my quarterback, because Aaron can come across as arrogant. You know, Aaron can come across as like kind of like aloof. You know what I mean? So therefore, we don't give Aaron the credit that he necessarily deserves. We're talking about the great Aaron Rodgers, 364 touchdowns, career touchdown passes, just 84 interceptions, a nearly 5-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He have close to 47,000 passing yards on his career. He hasn't thrown double-digit interceptions since 2010. And in that year, he only threw 11 interceptions. I think people forget the greatness of Aaron Rodgers because we so caught up in the Patrick Mahomes show. Before there was Patrick Mahomes, there was Aaron Rodgers, a two-time NFL MVP, a Super Bowl champion, also has a Super Bowl MVP on his resume. He's the most talented quarterback in NFL history. Until Patrick Mahomes can put together a body of work like the great Aaron Rodgers, I don't want to hear Patrick Mahomes being mentioned in Aaron Rodgers conversations because Aaron Rodgers has literally carried the Packers. Hold on. He has carried the Packers organization since he's been the quarterback. He's carried the organization. I want to see Patrick Mahomes have the longevity that Aaron Rodgers has, and then come talk to me.
Look, Trey, we got to move on because that's safe for the next topic because that's an interesting topic that you just discussed. All right, so we're just gonna move on. So okay, tight end, former tight end David Njoku. He requested a trade last week because he's seen Alex Hooper signed on, and he's the highest paid tight end now. Now, here's the thing: what kind of value would Njoku demand on the market, Trey?
I think it'll be limited because he's coming off an injury-plagued season. Like, he didn't really play much last year. He was injured for majority of the season last year, and we know the Browns struggled last season as well. So I think the value on the trade market will be kind of low for Njoku right now. But I do think Njoku has high upside. I think he has tremendous talent, and I think he can step in for a football team that contribute immediately if he can stay healthy. But last year, he only played 4 games last year. So he didn't even play a complete season last year. That's why I think the Browns ultimately brought in Austin Hooper in free agency because they don't know how much available Njoku was going to be this year. So I like Njoku. I like his upside. I think he has tremendous talent, and I think he can make some plays for a football team if he's healthy. Yeah. But we all know best ability is availability, and last year he wasn't available for the Browns. That's why ultimately I think his trade value would be low at this moment.
Here's how I picture about his value towards the market. This will actually be a boost up. I actually read a couple of articles will be his top landing spots, and I evaluated all the landing spots will be perfect for him. Now I'm gonna start off with the list. It's 7 teams. 7 teams, by the way. I want to tell you which team. I'm gonna tell you all the teams how he will fit in with them. First one is the Redskins. Got the Patriots, got the Packers, got the Cardinals, got the Dolphins, got the Panthers, and the Cowboys. Now, for the Redskins, I feel like he's going to help develop Haskins. For Patriots, he gives Cam Newton a serious weapon as a tight end because Njoku is a good receiving threat. He's a good receiver threat with nice body with top end speed. Yeah, so he got a good value. He has a good value. And for the Green Bay Packers, he gives Aaron Rodgers a legitimate tight end right then and there. I'm going to say that right then and there. If he got traded to the Packers, that'd probably be good for you. That's great for y'all because he's still relatively young and Aaron Rodgers is still playing in his prime. So they still can help build off what they had last season. And let me see, the Cardinals. Now for the Cardinals, this situation, I thought it was like an underrated weapon because their tight end all racked up 283 and receiving yards, which is one of the fewest in the NFL. And for Kyler Murray, I think he's great, but at the same time, Njoku probably would still fit in. For the Dolphins, oh no. The Panthers, yes, I think he fits this game because he's a receiving threat. And for the Cowboys, I don't know why, honestly, the Cowboys even decided to want to trade for him because they don't use their tight ends as much, only for short passes or intermediate, not even deep or long, man. I think for his value on the market will be solid as people like underestimating it.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from that perspective. I don't think the Cowboys would be a good fit for Njoku because the same problem he's going to have in Cleveland, he's going to have in Dallas. Dallas has a lot of weapons offensively. They got CeeDee Lamb, who they got from Oklahoma in the NFL draft this year. You still got Amari Cooper. You still got Ezekiel Elliott. They got elite weapons at the receiver position. And so I'm not so sure if he'll be able to step right in and contribute right away. Perhaps. But I also believe it's only so many plays that you're going to be able to get involved in being a tight end. I believe it with the Browns. I think it was going to be kind of hard for Njoku to be involved in the offense. You got to get the ball to Odell. You got to get the ball to Jarvis Landry. You know what I mean? Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they got to get their touches. And then you brought in Austin Hooper as well. I believe he should go to a squad that like the Packers. I agree with you. We could probably do well with Njoku because we need a consistent. yeah, we need a consistent threat at the tight end spot. But these teams like the Cowboys, who have a lot of offensive weapons, and the Browns, I think it's going to be tough to involve Njoku in the game plan. Therefore, I'm not so sure if those are teams that he should want to play with. I understand why he won't out of Cleveland because he's not getting paid a massive deal right now. But I also think he should consider which team he should go to, even though the Browns have all the leverage here, because they can just keep him on their books. They're only paying him $2.4 million, Clarence. They could keep him on their books, and he could just be upset all year and just sit back behind Austin Hooper and get touches every now and then. We'll see what happens, though.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you right there. So let's transition to the other tight end that was signed to the Cleveland Browns, Austin Hooper. He's the highest paid tight end in the league. Do you believe this is his breakout year? This is a make it or break a year for Mr. Hooper? Do you believe that?
I think Austin Hooper can have a solid year with the Browns. He coming off a season last year with the Atlanta Falcons. He had 75 receptions. He had over 787 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and he was a reliable target for Matty Ice and that Falcons offense. But do I think he deserves to be the highest paid tight end in the NFL? I do not. I don't think he's the best tight end in the NFL. When I think about tight ends, he is not at the top of that list. I'm thinking about Travis Kelce. I'm thinking about George Kittle. It is not going to be Austin Hooper. But he got his money, and I'm happy for him. But do I think he deserves to be the highest paid tight end in the NFL? I do not. But I think he's a solid tight end.
I think it's funny to me that they pay this type of tight end the highest paid tight end, because it's more like a publicity stunt. Like, if the 49ers go double that payment that the Browns is giving to Hooper, then that's kind of ridiculous. And Travis Kelce contract is coming up soon, so he gonna be demanding his money. Now, I think the 49ers should break the bank on George Kittle? Absolutely, because he's been the most consistent player on their team. Now, for Hooper, I believe he can have a breakout year just because the team has spread it all over the floor. They spread all over the field. Now they got their line adjusted. You bring in Kevin Stefanski, a run heavy type of coach that's run the ball. You already got a prolific running back in Nick Chubb, and it's just a lot of weapons on that team that can be a threat. And for Austin Hooper joining that team, he gives them the ability to stretch the field and catch intermediate passes, because he's a big guy. He's a big guy, 6'5", 240, 50 pounds. So that's great right there. As long as he's a big guy, he can catch that. Hey, that's an A+ for the Cleveland Browns if he break out this year. Who he is. It's just who he is right there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I just think maybe Njoku feels like I brought in Austin Hooper, which, again, I agree with the Browns for bringing in Austin Hooper, because we don't know if Njoku is going to be reliable. We don't know if he's going to be healthy this upcoming season. But Njoku feels like, as a player, where am I going to get my touches in the offense? Where am I going to be able to statistically get better, and therefore can validate me getting a big-time contract? Because you got Odell, you got Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. It's only so many touches that you're going to be able to get in the flow of the offense. And this ain't like basketball, where you can just give the ball to your star player and say, create something out of nothing and make a play. This is football. You got to get the football in the natural flow of the offense. That was one of the reasons, actually, that I had with Freddie Kitchens last year in the Browns. They was force-feeding Odell last year. That's why Baker threw so many interceptions last year. They was force-feeding Odell the football in a double coverage, and the play wasn't there to be made. And that's part of the reason why you have to put Baker Mayfield this year in a position to be successful if you're Kevin Stefanski. I believe that starts with the running game of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Clarence.
So quick question before we go to the next topic. Now, give me a top landing spot for who you think David Njoku will be getting traded to before training camp.
Top landing spots. I would say, who would I say could use Njoku? The news of tight end. I would say maybe even I like the Patriots. Maybe the Patriots.
Good pick.
I like the Patriots because I like Cam. Yeah. I like Cam with Njoku. I would like that.
And Cam is good throwing to tight ends, by the way. Him and Greg Olsen, they was fantastic in Carolina. And I honestly believe if the Patriots but ask for the trade about it and they receive him, this gives a legitimate weapon like literally a legitimate weapon for Cam Newton if he wins the starting job. But he's expected to win the starting job. But we'll see right there. All right, brother, man. We about to move on, man. About to move on to Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan legacy. Now listen, Richard Jefferson said Duncan is still on the fringe of Tim Duncan being a first ballot Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Larkins, does he have a point that he's on the fringe of being a Hall of Fame?
No, Richard Jefferson is utterly ridiculous. And I want to say this too. I think Richard Jefferson has some type of beef with Tim Duncan in some kind of capacity, because I was watching on Get Up a few months ago. He was having a conversation with Jay Williams and Mike Greenberg. And Jay Williams was talking about Tim Duncan, and Richard Jefferson said the same thing, kind of like that Tim Duncan has been carried throughout the course of his career. So I don't know if he got some type of personal beef or something with Tim Duncan, but Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward of all time. Make no mistake about it. I love Kevin Garnett and what Kevin Garnett was able to accomplish in his career. Kevin McHale, back in the day, he was an outstanding player at the power forward position. We all know the greatness of Karl Malone and his battles with MJ when Utah was going up against Chicago in the 90s. But I believe when you talk about the greatest power forwards of all time, I think Tim Duncan deserves to be at the top of that list. We're talking about a 5-time NBA champion, 3-time Finals MVP, 2-time NBA MVP overall, 15-time All-Star, and not to mention defensively, he was one of the best defensive players in NBA history. He's an 8-time All-Defensive player. I think Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward of all time. No questions asked. And I believe Richard Jefferson is smoking on something. I would like to know what he's smoking on, because whatever it is, it's got him saying some crazy things on air. He should be ashamed of himself. He should be ashamed of himself making these comments.
I actually agree with you right there. I can't believe I'm agreeing with you, because we don't really agree a lot. But why? I don't know what made him just decide just to say these type of craziness, like say he's on the fringe. We're talking about one of the greatest power forwards of all time. And let me like, he's a walking double-double. He's the all-time leader blocks, and not in the playoffs. He's a top 5 in double-doubles. Like, it's just ridiculous for him to say that comment, to just disrespect him. Now, if we could have been talking about Dirk Nowitzki, he is a Hall of Famer. I don't know, he's a Hall of Famer, or Chris Webber, whatever. I can understand with them, but this is Tim Duncan. Duncan that actually was a leader to his team, with or without the ball. His coaching to the game, his IQ to the game was just out the window, out the door. Something that you'll love about him, because his love for the game. And for Richard Jefferson to say this, I don't believe that he's like honest about what he's saying. And that includes me to my next question with you. Do you believe the Spurs' success was a team contributor to Tim Duncan's success as a player?
No, I think Tim Duncan's success as a player was because of the greatness of Tim Duncan. I do love the Spurs organization, and I love Greg Popovich as a head coach. You know this. Like, we know Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches in NBA history, and I think he's going to go down as being, one of the greatest NBA coaches of all time. But I believe the reason why the Spurs had their success the way they did wasn't because of Manu Ginobili, wasn't because of Tony Parker. They contributed. They had a big helping hand in the Spurs' overall success, and also with Greg Popovich. But I think the reason why the San Antonio Spurs had the successes they have had was because of the greatness of Tim Duncan, more so than anyone else in that organization. And that's a top-notch organization, Clarence. That's one of the best organizations that we have in pro sports. From a professional standpoint and doing things the right way, the Spurs are at the top of that list as far as sports goes. But I think Tim Duncan was the greatest power forward of all time, and I think he was the reason why the Spurs were championship contenders year in and year out.
I just believe, like regardless, this is I feel like for Greg Popovich at the time, they was the New England Patriots at the time when they was successful, like basically under 2014 in my opinion, they was like dominant, like super dominant. They've been dominant for like over the course year. And this is the first time, in 23 years that Greg Popovich might miss the playoffs. It's the first time in 23 years. That is a long time, Trey. That just consistency, like perception, like it just ridiculous of hard work that that Greg Popovich is bringing to this organization, and they just so upfront that everything is made to be perfect. And Greg Popovich, he's a great teacher, and he's a straightforward teacher that just will just tell you how things is, and he will want you to get better. He don't want you down. He will want you to get better, and he wants to see the good in you. But if you don't see the good in yourself, then you're just gonna stop yourself from being good. Some stuff he'll probably just say, like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, Greg Popovich, well-respected coach in the NBA. Now, he's a definitely first ballot Hall of Famer, like Hall of Famer coach right then and there. As soon as he retired, they better have that paper ready for him, man.
I got something I want to say real quick, but I'm gonna hold that thought. I want to ask you a quick question. Are you saying that Tim Duncan's success as a player was more about the San Antonio Spurs organization or was it more about Tim Duncan, the player?
I think it was more of Tim Duncan as the player because he was a skilled big man, and I felt like they just like absorb his gameplay to the game of basketball, and when they see him having success in his game, they start having success in their game because he opened up the floor for other players to play their game, and he helped players elevate. He basically elevated his teammates. Like that was something that he brought to the team. He brought a leadership. Hey, I want to play basketball. I'm not that type of guy that showboat this and that. Hey, I want to win. I want to come in day and day. I want to work hard, even if I gotta come in 30 days straight to get better. Work on the free throw. He came and did it. He came in, worked hard, and gave that hard work to that Spurs organization. And I believe like that's how they won their championships off of his vibe to the game, his feeling to the game. Like, and he was a legit leader. Like this. I agree with Tim Duncan.
I agree with that. I actually had an argument with my cousins a few weeks ago, and they were telling me about Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. And I think Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker both were good. I never thought they were. I think Manu Ginobili had some great moments in the playoffs, and he had some big time shots. But I never looked at Tony Parker or Manu Ginobili as being the number one option on a championship team. I think that was more so about Tim Duncan. But I want to say something real quick. I don't know if I want to ruffle some feathers here when I say this. Everybody remember, go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And follow us on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. You here with the Wise Guys, Trey Larkins and Clarence Nixon on the Worldwide Sports Network. I want to say something real quick, and I want to get your opinion before we move on. I'm about to say something big. I give more credit to Bill Belichick and what he did with the Patriots, winning 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady, than I give Bill Belichick and I give Greg Popovich for winning his titles with Tim Duncan. Let me say that one more time. I give more credit to Bill Belichick and what he was able to do as a head coach for winning Super Bowls with the New England Patriots than I give Greg Popovich with the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm going to tell you why. I think in football, you have to be an overseer as a head coach. Not only do you have to manage egos and personalities, you have to manage offense, defense, special teams, and so many different parts that you have to manage being a head coach in the NFL. In the NBA, if you have a legitimate star or two, you can ride the curtails of that star or two to some championships. It was some coaches that have won some championships in the NBA that have had players that carried them to the championship. So I'm not taking away from Greg Popovich. We know Greg Popovich, 5-time NBA champion as a head coach, 3-time NBA coach of the year. Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, in NBA history. Like, period. Don't make no mistake about it. But what I'm saying is, I give more credit to Bill Belichick for what he was able to accomplish with the Patriots than I give Greg Popovich for what he was able to accomplish with the Spurs. To that, you say what?
I'm gonna just say this. Before we move on. Let me keep it short because this is an interesting topic. This is a great, interesting topic we should discuss in the future. But
okay.
My thing is this. I seen Greg Popovich took his best player out and put in some players that he believed that can make a stop and win the game. Now, that right there is coaching. That's just right there, a coaching ability. You take your best player out. I seen him numerous of times. He took Kawhi Leonard out. He took Tony Parker out. He took Tim Duncan out. And he always somehow left Manu Ginobili in there because he was a good facilitator. Like, he was a good facilitator, Manu Ginobili. I love Manu. But the thing is, when he took out his best players, he believed in his next players to get the job done, and which I see him did and have success with it. And I just think for Belichick he's one of the best, greatest game planners of all time. Like the study junkie, that man right there is a study junkie. Because one thing for sure and two for certain, he's definitely looking at every piece of thing on film of the team he got to play in the upcoming week. That's right there. Like, it's like if he knows that this is a great pass rush team, all he gonna do is, hey, we're gonna run down their throat. We're gonna attack the middle of the run game, and we're just gonna keep pounding it until the sides open up. And right there, that's just brilliant. And I really gotta agree with you. I definitely gotta agree with you on this one because Belichick, he can game plan like crazy, man.
And with the Patriots, their game plan changed every week. 1 week, you might have saw them running the football with James White and Sony Michel. Then the next week, you would have seen Tom Brady. You'll see Tom Brady throwing the ball over 40 times. Their game plan changed every single week, and they made adjustments.
And then I seen like Greg Popovich also too. Like it been times like matter of fact, that first year they played Miami Heat. They had Gary Neal come in, like first foul of the game. He was coming in sub because he felt like he was a good deep threat shooter, and he was effective in that series. And for Danny Green, he had him specialty. Like, hey, run around with Ray Allen. If Ray Allen get hit with a screen, you make sure you kick out to D-Wade because he's going to drive to you. That's right there. That's just like coaching strategies right there. Like knowing where to be and knowing where to go. And I just think for these two coaches, man, like they are successful coaches that know how to game plan for their opponent. But Belichick, he's killed it with game plan. He can know we a passing threat. He'll say, hey, we're gonna play zone and the secondary all day, no man coverage because they like throwing it to the right, like some stuff like that, Trey. Crazy stuff like that.
One thing we can all agree on: Greg Popovich and Bill Belichick, they're one of a kind. They are two of the greatest coaches in their respective sports in sports history. Period. Let's move on to the city of brotherly love, and let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Obviously, Carson Wentz went 9-7 and led the Eagles to the NFC East title last season. So my question for you, Clarence, something that have us thinking and want to talk about. Do you believe that there is a quarterback controversy brewing in Philly?
I think it's brewing. I think it's brewing very slowly because for the simple fact that Carson Wentz hasn't been reliable in Philly, but he's performed at the level that they want him to perform when he sat that extension last season. Now I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say
Did
this.
you say it's a quarterback controversy brewing?
Like it's slowly brewing because I feel like
what
when you draft a quarterback in the second round, you're putting pressure on your starting quarterback. Regardless, you tell him you're the future franchise. If you don't get the job done, this guy can step in. And I honestly believe they can use Jalen Hurts is a young, average rookie quarterback. He's very talented. You seen it at Oklahoma. What 3,800 passing and what? Almost 1,300 on the ground. He's very talented. He's a very talented guy that you wouldn't want to pass up. Now, I was surprised that the Eagles even picked him up, but I see what the Eagles are doing. They can be an option. He can run the Taysom Hill formation, or he just might be the guy. If Carson Wentz keeps slacking or not, he's not staying healthy, then his job might be gone. Now, I really believe that that contract extension.
You can't.
I'm just being honest, man.
Oh my God!
I'm not being. Look. I'm just being honest right there, man. You don't draft a quarterback early in the rounds and expect him to sit until Carson Wentz feel like, hey, I want to get traded because I'm not getting no money. That's just me, man.
Man, you are ridiculous. You can't be serious right now, man. You have listen. You don't
draft no quarterback in the second round and put pressure on my quarterback. Look,
you have to be stopped. You have to be stopped here on Wise Guys on the Worldwide Sports Network, Clarence.
Look,
you have to be stopped. Listen,
Everybody need to go follow Wise Guys, man. Follow Wise Guys on Twitter, Wise Guys 08, Facebook, Wise Guys, Instagram. These guys know sport, and we are live on a Worldwide Sports Radio Network show. Man, Trey, I'm being honest, man.
Yeah, don't you try to say that to make me forget my point. Did you forget how we discovered Tua? Did you forget how we discovered Tua? You remember that championship game with Alabama when Nick Saban?
I'm a Bama fan, so yeah.
Do you remember when Saban had to replace Jalen Hurts at halftime in that championship game, and we discovered how great Tua was? Did you forget about that?
Wasn't good. I didn't forget about that.
Okay. I just want to bring that up, but I want to say something else. I like Jalen Hurts, and I actually was a fan of Jalen Hurts last year with Oklahoma. I rooted for Oklahoma when they during the season last year. I was rooting for Jalen Hurts because I was happy for Jalen Hurts because he had an opportunity to transfer and play with Lincoln Riley and make some noise at the quarterback position for the Oklahoma City Sooners. But you have to ask a legitimate question. Is that a Lincoln Riley system? Because we also saw Kyler Murray thrive with Lincoln Riley as well. So was it Jalen Hurts, the player, or was it the system of Lincoln Riley? We'll get to that in later shows. But I like Jalen Hurts, and I like his promise. But I believe Jalen Hurts, he's not a consistent passer of the football, Clarence. Therefore, there is no quarterback controversy in Philly. Let me give you some of these numbers statistically from Carson Wentz last year. Carson Wentz had 27 touchdowns, just 7 interceptions. He completed 64% of his passes and had over 4,000 passing yards, Clarence. And he was playing with nobodies at the skill position players. Who was his receivers last year, Clarence? Do you know? Can you name any of them? Because Deshaun Jackson got injured. Can you name any of them? I can't even.
6-round pick.
Who?
You got 6-round picks right there. You got Nelson Aguilar. Jeffries was Ertz. You got Dallas Goedert.
Jeffries was injured last year. Jeffries was injured. Aguilar was inconsistent. Ertz was his only reliable target. Listen, Carson Wentz carried the Eagles last year to the playoffs. They had no business being in the playoffs last year, but they got there because of Carson Wentz. Have you forgotten in 2017, before he got injured, Carson Wentz had 33 touchdowns, just 7 interceptions, and he was leading his team to the playoffs before he had that injury against the Rams. I know Nick Foles gets the credit for leading them to the Super Bowl and beating the Patriots, but during that season, who got them to that position to get to the playoffs? It was Carson Wentz. Unlike you, I believe in Carson Wentz as a quarterback, and I believe in Carson Wentz as a franchise quarterback. There is no quarterback controversy right now in Philly. I think Carson Wentz is the franchise quarterback, and I think he's going to be the future franchise quarterback for many years to come, unless he gets injured.
Let me tell you something. You know, at the casino, there is a lot of Eagles fans, and some of them Eagle fans, they cannot stand Carson Wentz. They cannot stand Carson Wentz all because of this. He's always injured. He's always wait, let me say this game. He's always injured. He's not reliable, and he still hasn't proven that he can lead his team into like the promised land. They just believe he's not. What? He's just not the guy. He's not the guy. Look. Hold on.
What?
Hold on. He's 0-1 in the playoffs so far. He got injured in his first career start. So that just proves to me that he's not durable enough to lead us, keep leading us to the pack. He just not. Now, when I drafted this quarterback, I'm putting more pressure on him because I want you to play better. I want you to get healthier. I want you to be reliable. I want you to be ready when we're playing, man. The point is, you in the whole NFC East, come with the Cowboys, Skins, and Giants, you're going to take unnecessary hits. And it's crazy that he takes unnecessary hits, and he got the best O-line in the game, in the league. They're top 5. I can't believe it. Regardless of Lane Johnson getting out because of torn ACL, excuse me, they are the best O-line in the league. I don't understand how you can get injured.
Listen, Doug Peterson drafted Jalen Hurts so Jalen Hurts can have a similar role that Taysom Hill has in New Orleans with the Saints. I think we're going to see some packages put together for Jalen Hurts to where he can help the Eagles offense, and defense was going to have an opportunity to game plan against Jalen Hurts. I think that's what Doug Peterson brought in Jalen Hurts for. a similar role that Taysom Hill has in New Orleans. He's going to utilize Jalen Hurts the same way Sean Payton utilizes Taysom Hill. Jalen Hurts is not going to be getting half of the snaps. He's not going to be getting in the game 50% of the time. This is Carson Wentz's football team, Clarence. Make no mistake about it. There is no quarterback controversy in Philly. Carson Wentz is the man. He's been the man, and he's going to be the man moving forward. And also, real quick, I want to say this before we move on. You think Dak is better than Carson Wentz? Do you think Dak is better?
Dak has been more durable. Dak has been more consistent.
What?
Dak look. What? When I made consistent, he's been reliable. He played every down. He played through a lot of injuries. He showed up. He's reliable. Now, skill set, Carson Wentz got him by a little bit. Because Dak Prescott is above average quarterback. If he can get it right this year, I definitely put him over. I will definitely put him over Carson Wentz because he's more durable and his skill set is getting better with the quarterback guru coaching Mike McCarthy.
If he can get it right this year, you'll give him a slight nod over Carson Wentz. But you don't believe he's currently better than Carson Wentz.
I don't think he's better, only because Carson Wentz has a better skill set and he brings more to the table. But I truly believe if Dak Prescott can get it right together with Mike McCarthy, that is a great coach, the most second winningest coach behind Bill Belichick in the last decade, and is currently right now. Yes, they can get it together. I think he would be an amazing quarterback, maybe elite quarterback.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. Dak Prescott is not in the same stratosphere as Carson Wentz. Dak Prescott last year, he couldn't get his team to the playoffs, and he had Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb, and he couldn't even get his team to the playoffs. Meanwhile, in the same division, in Philly, Carson Wentz led his team to the postseason, and he had literally nobody's active skill position players. Last year wasn't a prime example as to why Carson Wentz is better than Dak Prescott. It is not even an argument for me. I think Carson Wentz is significantly better than Dak Prescott. But I do believe Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. I think Carson Wentz, his upside can be great at some point in his career. But I agree, he got to get better with the injuries.
I'm just saying this. Dak Prescott is a better leader than Carson Wentz. Dak Prescott led his team to a playoff victory against the Seattle Seahawks in that wild card game. I believe that Dak Prescott can get better and be a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. I'm telling you that right now. He got a better playoff record than him, actually.
I disagree.
1-2, man. I'm just saying right there. He led his team. He proven that he can lead his team to a playoff. Only Carson Wentz still hasn't proven it yet.
Okay. We'll be able to have this ongoing debate throughout the many years of us doing Wise Guys together, because this is going to be an ongoing conversation, but I still think Wentz is significantly better. But let's move on, and let's go to our fifth topic of the day. In 2019, Lamar Jackson won NFL MVP and led his team to the number 1 seed in the AFC. Deshaun Watson has been to the Pro Bowl twice in his young career, in 2018 and 2019. Both of these quarterbacks are respectively the franchise quarterbacks for their teams. So my question for you is, Clarence, which of these two young quarterbacks would you rather have, Lamar or Deshaun?
Believe it or not, I'm taking Deshaun Watson. Me personally, I'm taking Deshaun Watson. Only because he's proven enough that he can win in playoff games. And I believe this is the year for him to prove that, hey, if you're an elite quarterback, as we say you are, and you barely has the weapons that you need, when you have Brandon Cooks, and that's a premier good weapon, you showing us that you're elite quarterback up there with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson as it is. But I'm thinking for Deshaun, he's more of the flexible. Like for Lamar, you can beat a team down with the run heavy. For Deshaun Watson, you can spread it out a little bit more, and you can play it up and trick it up real quick. But I'm gonna tell you this: he's a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he's the only quarterback in the NFL that had NFL history that had back-to-back season with 3,000 passing yards and at least 500 yards in rushing.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant. That's brilliant right then and there. And you seen last year in the playoffs that remarkable play when he broke that tackle and got the first down. That just showing you right there that this kid can fight. He's not gonna give up on the fight, man.
Okay, I agree with you, but we agree for different reasons as to why we would pick Deshaun Watson over Lamar Jackson. First and foremost, I want to say I think Lamar Jackson is the best player in the NFL as far as box office. Like, I think when you go to a game, I would love to go watch a game with Lamar Jackson playing quarterback. I think it would be excitement and it would be must-see TV watching him at a game or watching on your TV set every Sunday. Lamar Jackson is an exciting player to watch. Obviously, last year he had 36 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, completed 66% of his passes, and he improved as a passer. And he had over 3,000 passing yards. We know he set the rushing yard record last year as well. And he was the MVP for a reason. He led his team to the number 1 seed in the AFC. They came up short against the Tennessee Titans, but it wasn't all Lamar's fault. But I think Lamar Jackson is the future franchise quarterback for the Ravens, and he's by far the best player on that team. And he's the best player in the AFC North overall, if you ask me. But although I think that Lamar Jackson has tremendous upside, Clarence, I would pick Deshaun Watson as well, because Deshaun Watson, throughout the course of his career, he's been more of a consistent passer than Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is a better runner with the football than Deshaun Watson. But that's also because Harbaugh, that's how he utilized Lamar Jackson. That's the better part of his skill set. That's running the football. See, Deshaun Watson, he can run the football as well, but that's not how they use him in Houston. I think Deshaun Watson is a better pocket passer than Lamar Jackson. Therefore, I think he's ultimately the better quarterback of the two. You remember last year, Deshaun Watson, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and that was with DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best receivers in the NFL, but other than DeAndre Hopkins, I've never felt like the Texans have put a nice supporting cast around Deshaun Watson. Do you? Like, I've never felt like they really put nice pieces around Watson like that. But Watson consistently has his team competing in the AFC and at the top of the AFC South. I think Deshaun Watson also is a winner. He's clutch. When he was at Clemson with Dabo, when he was winning football games, the intangibles that this young quarterback shows in clutch moments is off the charts. And it's something that you don't see in all these quarterbacks. It's something that's special in him. That play against the Buffalo Bills in that AFC wildcard game, when the defender came right through the A-gap, Clarence, it was a sack. And Deshaun Watson got him off of him, threw the ball in the flat, and that was the end of the game. He made the play. It had to be made. I think Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson simply because he's a better pocket passer. And I think in those clutch moments in both of their young careers, I think Watson has made more plays than Lamar Jackson.
I think when you mentioning the best quarterback, the best quarterbacks now are translating from the NFC to the AFC now. When you're discussing Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, so it's gonna be pretty interesting to see these guys go up against these teams in the NFL, because the Bengals deal with him, so we get to see how he's gonna make that year leap or he's gonna take a step back. So it's gonna be something to watch.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. And like I said, I just think I'll give Deshaun Watson the edge over Lamar Jackson because Deshaun is a better pure pocket passer than Lamar. And again, he's made more clutch plays in the playoffs than Lamar has made. But again, I think Lamar is more box office too. If I had to choose one to go watch, I'm going to watch Lamar over Deshaun. I love Deshaun, but Lamar is exciting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody, remember, go follow Wise Guys on Facebook at Wise Guys, Instagram, These Guys Know Sports, and Twitter, Wise Guys _OH. And we are live here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Right? Anything you want to finish off to say?
Yeah, I want to say this real quick, man, about Deshaun Watson. The only problem that I have with Deshaun Watson in his young career is him having that 24-point lead in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Oh my God.
They had a 24-point lead in the AFC division around the playoffs with Houston and Kansas City, and they completely choked. It was a choke job. Now, here's the thing, too. I think Lamar Jackson has a better organization surrounding him than Deshaun Watson has in Houston. I like Harbaugh more than I like. What's the coach for Houston? I can't think of his name. I can't.
Bill O'Brien.
O'Brien. Yeah, O'Brien. That him. I forgot about him because he made that bonehead trade this year, trading away DeAndre Hopkins for a box of cookies to the Arizona Cardinals. So I forgot about him for a minute. He's irrelevant at my mind until he can prove he can win in the playoffs with Deshaun Watson. Bill O'Brien is irrelevant in my mind. So excuse me, audience, but I forgot his name.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, Bill O'Brien, man, he got to get it together, man. But hey, a great show today, man. But we got a big one to talk about, our top 10 coaches in the NFL. That will be premiering on Wednesday on the Worldwide Sports Radio. Anything you want to say, Trey, before we dip out of here?
That's it, man. Let's go. Everybody have a great night. I'll see you on Wednesday, bro.
Yep, yes, sir. Everybody follow Wise Guys on Facebook, Instagram, These Guys on Sports, Twitter, Wise Guys on H, and you are watching Wise Guys on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.